What does that mean? Okay, we're live. I don't know. I hate looking at myself. Can someone please replace my video with something interesting? Maybe this use code. Oh, it says I can get a discount. How do we figure out if anyone's actually out there before I go and start prattling on? Oh, someone wrote a note. Carlos, I love your books. Here in Mexico, we don't have anything like that. They're funny and well written. And there's Louis, the rocket scientist. Hello, Louis. It's good to see you. Your picture. So what's up? Oh, I don't know. That's probably a rhetorical question. I'm just here, like everyone else in their house, eating whatever leftovers I have. I have at least 40 pounds of beans, dry beans, which means probably about 100 pounds of not dry beans. Carlos, you should be able to get our books in Mexico. And if you can't, we need to try to solve that problem. What's this? 13 watching. Okay. People are watching. Hacker Boxes. Thanks for joining Hacker Boxes. So what are you eating for dinner? I don't know if you know this, Louis, but I tend to be obsessive about certain things. So I can tell you my roast chicken recipe. It takes 3 days to prepare because you have to let it dry out in the fridge. I'm sure my son Josh has heard about this several times. I've tried all the brands of chicken. So I'm actually not eating chicken tonight because I finished my roast chicken. So I'll probably have, that's a good question. I don't know what I'll have. Maybe I'll have a can of salmon from Trader Joe's and find something frozen in the freezer that's edible. Do you want so I can talk about some direction for the company. You have questions about maybe what we're doing, how things have changed for us due to coronavirus. I can talk about changes internally at the company, how we're doing as a company. I can talk to you about the book market. What would be interesting for people? Do you want to see my light fixture? That's about the only thing interesting in this house or in this room, including me, I would say. I can talk to you about roasting coffee. So mostly ebook as of late, but POC. So in terms of we have a bit of a challenge. We had a bit of a challenge. Well, we closed the office on March 6th. So what I did over the next couple of months is set up with a fulfillment house in Michigan. That's still a work in progress for us because we used to ship from our office. We have a 8,000 square foot building that's basically unoccupied, except for a bunch of desks. So half of the building was set up for fulfillment. We had part-time people who we had to let go because there was nothing to ship. So we shifted a bunch of inventory over to Michigan. One problem we're having, and we're working to see what we can do to solve it, is that USPS does things like ship your books around the country before they deliver to your house, and maybe you're right next to the warehouse that they shipped from. It's a crazy mess that we're having to deal with. On POC, we're about to do volume 3. We're going to print this one in India, which actually seems pretty interesting. The packaging will be pretty cool. We're also looking into doing some kind of deal with the current journal. I got to talk to Travis about that. So we're going to try to set something up where you can get both. And yeah, the discount is a little bit better this year. We really appreciate the support. I can tell you that our business it's flat so far, which isn't bad because we were up something like 35 or 40% last year. And I realized only recently, this is why I'm not necessarily the best company president, that we'd only released 7 books this year. So Automate the Boring Stuff is a great book. Oh, sorry, we don't necessarily tell you well, months later, we do release new editions, but we don't do them frequently. So, and we're scheduled to release another 40 books this year. That's a huge jump for us. Normally, that shouldn't happen in the last part of the year, but that's how it's happening. So we have books coming out on algorithms, data science, machine learning, computer architecture, and I'm finding it interesting to tackle books in computer science topics, things that people don't necessarily understand. We've got some interesting Python books in the works, more InfoSec stuff, of course, but not, of course, because we haven't had real computer security stuff to the extent that we should have. So we'll be looking at new topics in computer security. We'll do the occasional Lego book. One thing I've discovered in looking closely at the profit and loss on the hi Nicole, on the Lego books is that they're not particularly profitable. In fact, what happens with those is that when we have to reprint them, in some cases we were actually losing $2 every time we sold a copy. So that will change. We'll publish them selectively. We're trying to rebrand them a bit, but the core of my business has been technical books. That's what people want from us. We'll be doing more programming books for kids too. Let me see what comments I missed here. Lewis and Josh are eating pasta with mixed veggies. Are you two actually in the same location? Oh, I just had I had some leftover brown rice, and this was actually great. And I mixed it up with fried egg and lots of sauteed garlic because I'm in the house alone, so who cares? And then I put some vegan cheese on top and hot sauce and mashed it all together and ate it. So that was good. One thing I'm really liking in the evening is I have, I've got a big bag of, well, it was a big bag, now it's gone. Costco frozen organic blueberries. Put them in a cup, pour coconut milk all over the top, mix it up, and if the coconut milk is hard, it'll kind of freeze. And then cardamom in there, salt, maple syrup, and you have like almost like an instant ice cream kind of thing. It's not really ice cream, but it's really good. And I'm really into roasting chicken right now. I just roasted it. I have 3 frozen chickens in the freezer in case of a cataclysm and they run out of chicken. But I also like vegan stuff too, oddly enough. So, and I was really into roasting coffee for a while, which some people got the benefit of, and I got pretty good at coffee roasting. But now I have so much coffee in the cupboard that I'm not really doing any coffee roasting right now. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you for buying only directly from No Starch. So we're aware of that people want to buy directly from us. I'm a little bit behind, I would say. I never really prioritized a lot of the web stuff. So our website was designed by a former employee, Keith Fancher, who left to become a programmer years ago. It's done in Drupal. We finally put out a patched site. It took about 2.5 years. Now we're looking at things that we can do to improve the experience even a bit more. We're also looking at other ways to make the ebooks more interesting. So we'll see if that works. I'm not going to talk about it until I actually feel like it's come together. So we did for the first time some free shipping on stuff. The problem is, and my apologies for that, shipping right now in the US is totally messed up, but we were at least able to offer free shipping. Oh, there's something in the screen. Am I supposed to respond to that? I don't know how this works exactly. Some message from someone. Is it a message? Oh, okay. So I see this is embedded in the thing. It's probably an unfair comparison, but shipping and handling overseas yes, shipping and handling is terrible because we have to use USPS. You should order from Amazon if you care. We can't. There are no less expensive options for us. That's why I've always, for 25 years, focused on resellers. We cannot compete with Amazon. And I say to people, if just buy from Amazon. We sell it to Amazon too, but there's nothing we can do. When in some cases, even though we think the best options for international shipping, it still might be $25 to ship overseas, and we have no option. That's what it costs. So the cheapest option we might have is there's probably some slow boat thing. Actually, I should qualify that by saying that USPS is shipping orders instead of by air, by boat, because there aren't enough flights. So that's caused a lot of delays in overseas shipping. I don't want to be selling direct, like we're not Amazon, so we'll support people who want to buy from us directly, but ultimately we want you to buy from whatever retailer you want to buy from. So what I'm looking at is, if there are concerns that you have that we can address with our site. Like if you buy from another reseller and you want an ebook upgrade, write to us and we'll give you a deal on an ebook upgrade and we'll put it in your account. They'll ask for basic stuff, but we don't have the economy of scale. In fact, what I read is that Amazon shipping is being prioritized by USPS to the detriment of other companies trying to ship. So while Amazon stuff will come on time, USPS is in some cases is leaving stuff sitting there. It's not getting picked up. We started using a service called UPS Innovations, which is basically, I think, give it to USPS and then they hand it off to USPS, or maybe it's the reverse. But in that handoff, sometimes stuff will sit and we don't hear from it. We don't hear about it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then it comes back and it's tracked again. But we just don't have. There's no magic pill where we discover that suddenly we can ship cheaply individual packages overseas. We have not found that. No one, and we're working with large companies that do this business, and no one has a better solution right now. And I don't know that it exists. In fact, it may get worse because USPS doesn't have proper funding. So Carlos says, I was interested in several Python books, was saving to buy them and pay shipping, but then they put it a bundle on Humble Bundle and I bought from there. Great. The market for technical books is much bigger than any one publisher can reach. We were the first publisher, I think, after Cory Doctorow, to sign up with Humble Bundle. I've been friends with the woman that organizes it for years. They've been supportive of ours. Also, thanks to Starchy. I think Starchy was the one who connected me from EFF. Maybe I'm wrong. Pretty sure. But anyway, who had friends at Humble Bundle. So we've sold probably, I don't know, over 500,000, 600,000 copies of Python Crash Course worldwide easily. The market for Python books is much bigger than that, and it's always changing. You might have 10 million Python programmers today, but you got more people going into the market. And I'm just making up numbers, but I always want to reach that maximum. I'm trying to optimize our sales and sell as extensively as we can. So all of our books are on BitTorrent. They always have been. Bram Cohen's an old friend of mine, and I still consider him a friend. I remember meeting Peter Sunday at Chaos Congress and gave me a bunch of Pirate Bay stickers. It doesn't scare me. I think it's like a giant lending library. I believe in our books. I believe and trust to our readers. And I believe that if people read and see how good they are, people will buy them. Keep the price fair, keep the quality high. I've been working closely with printers recently to make sure that we can get always quality books, whether it's a 4-color, a full-color book, a 1-color book. On our 1-color books, we consistently use 60-pound Finch opaque, which is the best paper that I know of for text. We use a heavier cover stock, meaning a heavy recovery paper. We pay extra for that lay flat binding, which some people think is broken. Sometimes it was broken, but not when it's done properly. Where the cover doesn't sit on the back, that's by design so that your cover won't crack. That costs about 20 cents extra on a book when you're, and that actually adds up when you're printing 100,000. It adds up a lot, but it's worth it. We use printers that we trust, and we use offset printing. We very rarely do print on demand because we don't like the quality. The cover is thin. The print is not necessarily sharp. We get much better print quality from offset printers. So I've just discovered about 6 new printers in the last couple of weeks, and they seem pretty interesting. Because one thing I need to do for the company is make sure that as we grow, we're not constantly dumping. I mean, we are dumping like hundreds of thousands of dollars into printing, sometimes a quarter. We need to be really careful about overextending ourselves, building up too much inventory, and then getting burnt. Let me look at these questions. Yes, shipping complications are a pain for everyone. Everyone basically expects, and it's not a dig at anyone, but like we're all used to expecting instant stuff from Amazon. I just got something I ordered from Amazon today that I ordered yesterday. That's great, but we can't offer that. It just doesn't. We don't have giant robots or whatever in warehouses all over the place and own the industry. So we do the best that we can. But again, I say to our readers always, buy whatever works for you. We appreciate people wanting to buy from us direct, but I don't expect people to pay the book price for shipping. If you can get a deal with Amazon, do it. We're gonna work with those channels. I don't view Amazon as a competitor any more than I view Google as a competitor. I mean, we have competition, but I feel like it's friendly competition. So our goal is to get information out there, produce a quality book for you, quality ebook. We're improving the flow of that process. We now have an internal LaTeX process, which we didn't have. LaTeX, LaTeX, whatever you want to call it. It's not clear. So I think we have 6 editors now working with books in LaTeX, and it's we have also some automation where our books are now going through an XML process within design. That's a big step for us. It sounds, antiquated in many ways. The business is run, it's kind of like glacial. Things change at a glacial pace. So that one of the challenges is merging the values of an old business populated with people who've been around for a long time with really good skills who haven't necessarily adopted new technologies. There's a clash, or not a clash, but there's a divide between, for example, book publishers and printers. When you talk to printers, they tell you, as a guy did today, oh, we just bought a $10 million printer. I can't remember the name, man, something or other. And it can do all these things. And I have to understand what they're talking about. But the manufacturing part is separate from what's happening internally. So manufacturing people in the book business have very different skills and knowledge than the editors. So one thing we have to be careful of, for example, is if we randomly choose to make a book 9 inches by 9 inches, that doesn't fit on the presses the same way that a 7 1/4 by 9 inch book, a technical book that we do, fits with certain presses. So we need to be careful by making decisions like that, which cause significant increases in cost. So let's see. Humble Bundle is a great way to get books. In many cases, you need a hard copy. Searching stuff on ebook is kind of a pain. Yep. We'll continue to do Humble Bundles. I think we have 2 more scheduled this year, and I won't tell you what they are. More advanced and more specialized program books. Most of the publishers, there are publishers that make, certainly more advanced or specialized programming books. The problem they have is they can get so niche that they don't sell. So what I'm looking at is something that's actually interesting for our reader, right? It doesn't, and it might be some niche, but it's so interesting that people will buy it. We have to be careful about getting too specialized, because at a certain point, the sales curve drops way down. And we would routinely do only 30 books a year, and we have 20 people. That's a very small number of titles in the course of a year. Several of our competitors will do 30 to 50 books a month, and we have in most cases eclipsed them. We would ever when Barnes and Noble stores were open, we were outselling all the dummies books at Barnes and Noble in the tech bay, in the tech books, and that was amazing. I hadn't heard of that happening in at least 20 years. So let me just make sure I'm addressing these. Humble Bundle. Adapt to my Kindle, cell phone, laptop, really love printed books. Oh yeah. Well, if you want to learn Python, automate the boring stuff with Python is free. Just read that. That's Carlos. Humble Bundle is amazing. With no Starch ever moved shipping in-house. We had shipping in-house. We moved it out of house. The problem is, like, in order to do shipping properly, we go to a company that has like 50,000, 100,000 square feet, 1 million square feet, whatever. They're automated. They've got deals with distributors. They've got systems. We don't have that, and it doesn't pay. When I look at the cost, it doesn't pay for us to ever build that. I don't want to be a distributor. I don't want to. I want to be selling to our resellers and have them expand the market with us. Put a bunch too. Great. Also checkbooks. Usually I like to come back and buy a hard copy. Yeah, thank you. I think I count on people reading our stuff electronically, whether they're reading something that's freely licensed or they borrow it on BitTorrent. And as I say to people at DefCon every year, and I'll be doing that this year, when someone comes up to me, they always do, and it's usually a few. It's like, I've got a bunch of your books. Well, yeah, I kind of borrow them, and I know what they're talking about, of course. And I say, that's fine. If you like the books, you should buy them. If you don't like them, you shouldn't buy them. That's all. And I try to keep our books reasonably priced compared to certainly our competitors. We rework everything we publish. I have 6 or 7 editors on staff in the US. Well, actually, not a couple are in Canada. And basically, we go through everything. And none of our competitors do that. Every single book, one of my staff is reading and then reporting back to me and then showing me how it's progressing to make sure that the book is good. And it doesn't mean that we won't make mistakes, because we will. But the goal is to make something great each time. Karina says, how long have been going to DefCon? I guess my first DefCon was probably DefCon 9, but it might have been earlier. I don't know. I bought the t-shirt at 9, I think. That was an Alexis Park DefCon. I remember the vendor room was very small, and there was a giant pile up outside. And at the Alexis Park, there was this real choke point, so it was a really scary crowd. I also remember getting stuck outside and not being able to get back into my table. That was a challenge. One year I was exhibiting together with our friends at Last Gasp. That was interesting because they basically had graphic novels and porn on their table, and we had a few technical books. They didn't go back because it wasn't really the right show for them. But Alexis Park DefCons were great. My friends, Len Sassman, who's unfortunately no longer with us, would travel out. He was, I think, guns in the like Geeks with Guns thing. And these guys would be out back. I remember Seth Schoen and Len Sassman with this mirror. I don't remember what they were doing with the mirror, reflecting something, trying to burn something, or I don't know. Who knows what they were doing. But it was great to walk around and just find random people all around. I always remember, and I'm sure we'll be back to DefCon, incredibly hot, but heat that didn't really bother me. I remember walking around with, you would find people, the Cult of Dead Cow people, Loft people would be hanging out, and you could just talk to them. Those relatively early years of DefCon were different. It was a lot easier to meet people. I remember the Riviera DefCon was pretty fun because that also had kind of a choke point. So there was the Riviera bar, and I remember many late nights at the Riviera bar. I remember late nights with this unusual plastic skeleton that I found in my closet, and probably no one on this call knows what I'm talking about, but that was pretty weird. Just imagine you're in a room in the Riviera at 3 a.m. and you open up your closet and you find bones. It was like a Halloween thing, right? But like 3 a.m, it was pretty scary. So I brought it downstairs, and then those guys played with it for probably till the sun came up. So that was a fun memory. I've had many bourbon tastings at DefCon. I'm sure at least a couple of people here have probably been to one or two. Those have been a lot of fun. I used to send 40 or bring or ship 40 bottles of bourbon to DefCon. That was before bourbon prices went crazy. And I would bring bottles of, for example, George T. Stagg, which now in the street sells for $800 or $1,200 a bottle, rare bottles, and just share them with people. They weren't selling it at that level at that time. But I had numerous whiskey tastings, and we're planning to do a glass this year because people collect them. So we'll make a glass and we'll ship it out from the warehouse place. Let's see. What else? How long do you have a favorite? It's a favorite memory. I have many favorite memories. DefCon memories are not necessarily about a talk. It's really more about the people you meet and who shows up, and people just kind of come out of the shadows. One of the people that I met was Shabu, whatever his name is, the guy that was, I guess he was, he was the one that turned on anonymous or something, and I can't. Anyway, I guess there's a tweet where you can find like, I'm over here at the No Starch booth. So I know he looks familiar, but I don't remember. But I've had lots of interesting conversations with friends, many of whom work for 3-letter agencies, but you wouldn't know it. And it's nice to talk freely at a conference late into the evening or morning. I remember early whiskey tastings that I would have in a small suite. Unfortunately, people would stay there until 5 a.m. until I was basically passing out. But we used to get a lot of the cryptographers there, and that was really cool. Roger Dingledon and some other people, cryptographers, and I would just make Manhattans because I didn't want to really talk to anyone. So I just faced the thing and just kept making Manhattans for everyone. And I wanted them to talk. That was the thing, because I got really tired of the loud, noisy parties. So I started having my own. Over the years, they became oversubscribed and less fun. So I tried to shrink that back and just create an event where people can actually talk. Let's see here. Amazon Syndrome Bar for customer expectations. Oh yeah, yes. We were talking about Amazon shipping, right? Customer expectations have changed, and that's a challenge we have. I'm just responding to notes and comments. That's a challenge that anyone that ships anything has. So Daniel Zingaro says, +1 to LaTeX workflow works great. Thank you. That's in large part, I would say, thanks to Alex in her office and Cassie working with Alex, and also Maureen. Actually, no, Alex has built a lot of that. I'm glad to hear that's working. We're talking with another author today who's got some interesting connected GitHub workflow. So I should say, like, if you're a geek, it's like, yeah, you can do that with Git. You can, but what we can't do, and I mentioned earlier in this call, like we're an old business with old values, combined and kind of set in the middle of the tech community, right? So sure, you can do it with Git, but what will you lose? My problem with Git on its own is books are not software. It doesn't mean that you can't manage the text in a book, but we want to make sure that whoever's editing the book can actually edit it properly and make a great book. So the challenge and the reason that I'm slow to adopt those things is the goal is not to make a book fast, but to make a great book. How can we make it great? And I feel like now with LaTeX and we're using Overleaf, we're able to actually do that. And my editors seem happy with it, which is good, because when we were doing stuff in, editing LaTeX in just a notepad doesn't really work very well. So I think Overleaf has helped a lot. So now we have a LaTeX workflow. I want to see what we can do to integrate Git into that workflow and really automate things, but make sure that we're not in a rush. We're never in a rush. And that's why we've published only 7 books this year, and as of August, with another 40 to come. Because not only am I not in a rush, I don't really look at the numbers. I just make sure that every day I feel like we're doing the right thing, that our staff has supported, that our authors feel like we're supporting them, that we're making good books, and that we make the right decisions. And I haven't had a down year in over 25 years. And I hope that we won't have one this year. I mean, if we end up flat, it'd be fine, but I hope we're up again. I should make a note about the No Starch Press Foundation. Some people don't know we exist. We have 3 people on the board now, I guess, and we just brought on a program associate, temp, and she's been really helpful. So I'm trying to activate that. One challenge I have is I've got to run the business. We've had a lot of changes in staffing, a lot of very positive changes, in my opinion. So, but we're also there's nostarchfoundation.org. So now I'm trying to actually do more with the foundation. We are close, I'm told, to actually developing and releasing this GitHub-based micro-granting platform, which will be released free. We haven't paid anyone, and they've done the work volunteer. That should be really great. I do know where I want to take that. I just don't have time to do it. But Athabasca, one of our editors, has been really helpful, together with, man, I'm forgetting his name. That's bad. A former GitHub person who I have to look up his name, but he's brilliant at Git. So, and I can't remember, but anyway, it's a really great thing, and I think it should really help to democratize a lot of giving from foundations. I think one big problem in the nonprofit area is that money comes in big piles, and people don't have the time or the inclination to give out small piles. So they give out big piles, which means that people who could really use the money, which might be a robotics group like one that Lewis joined in high school together with my son Josh and other friends, like they just want a couple $1,000s to build robots, not $200,000. And who's going to pay attention to them? Well, we did in that case, but there are lots of groups like that around the country and around the world. People for whom a little bit of money, relatively speaking, can make a big difference. So let's see if I missed anything. Paper on POC was way wider. Yes, I know. So that to my mind was a mistake in our production department. First, okay. So in volume 1, they're both Bible papers. They're just different Bible papers. So I like volume 1 better. I agree. Volume 2, I don't know what happened there. Volume 3 will be the same size approximately as volume 1. You didn't get a counterfeit. If I ever reprint volume 2, I would use a different paper. That things have changed, and I've stepped in to make sure that it's the same size. I'm sorry that it came out that size. I don't know what happened. I mean, I kind of know, like, someone didn't check. But the new one, I think, has a couple of interesting new features, even more sort of Bible-y like features. I think it'll look cool. Travis has done an amazing job with that. And the paper, actually, I can show you. I don't know where to put it. I have what's called a dummy, which I'll show you. Anyway, it'll be about the same size as volume 1. And the paper is kind of somewhere, it's not bright. It's not the white paper that to use, which seemed wrong. It's a regular Bible paper. It's being done by a Bible printer in India. So it'll be some interesting handwork on that book, I think. Travis has come up with some interesting little features I think that are cool. So yeah, it's not. I think it's highly unlikely that you'll find a counterfeit copy of that. They're too expensive to produce. No one's going to make counterfeit. That's just not worth it. But yeah, I agree with you on that. And I just, I think we printed 10,000, and if it ever sells out and we reprint, I'd use a different paper because they're meant to look like a series. And the problem with books is when you get them in, and you look at the books and you say this is wrong. It's too late. Then you've already booked it, and you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars in print cost. Hello, Catherine. What does Catherine say? Hello, your logo is great. So are your t-shirts. I look forward to your annual t-shirt sale at DefCon. Will you have another t-shirt? I only have this one right now. No Starch Press Death Metal. Yeah, I forgot about t-shirts this year. We can always make another one. I think what we need to do is we could make another Death Metal t-shirt. Well, I really like the first one. Then we have the second one, which is kind of like a motorcycle t-shirt. So I like that one too, like a motorcycle gang t-shirt. So honestly, like I've been very focused just every day. I'm on calls, video calls every single day with my staff, trying to make sure that people are doing okay because people are alone. I want to make sure that they feel that they're supported by the company. And I mean, DefCon just kind of surprised me. And like we are doing a whiskey glass. I don't have a new t-shirt. The problem right now is we've got to get the shirts to the fulfillment house or find a t-shirt printer in Michigan that I trust. So I know one in San Francisco I trust, but then you got to ship it. So it's just kind of backburnered, but we can always do another one. We can do a surprise one, but I want something cool. And so sure, we could do some other shirt at some point, but I don't know when. Yes, people think so here's a little story about the Bible. When the first volume of POC GTFO came out, I was on a flight with two super hacker types, and I was very excited about the Bible. So I picked it up and I started walking through the plane, and all these people gave me looks like I was some crazy preacher. So I had to sit down because people do think it's a Bible, but it's they respond to it like you're carrying this religious item, and for some people it is. But it's amazing if you read POC GTFO. The articles are brilliant. But yes, people think it's a Bible, and it's a giant troll. It basically fakes people out. Of course, we have the one issue with POC, which stands for proof of concept, a term that's been around since the 60s, I think. And that's just what it is. But yeah, people think they're Bibles, and it makes them nervous. I actually have quite a few sample Bibles in my living room right now because the Indian Bible printer, the Bible printer in India sent us samples. So when people, see that, I'm sure they'll think like I'm, just like a really religious guy, which I'm not, but I have all kinds of Bibles that look cool. So what should I talk about? Lewis has a suggestion. Where's my son? Josh. What's this? What can I share with you? I'll share with you, for those of you who are not vegan, my roast chicken recipe until someone interrupts me with something else. So I probably spent 4 months on this because it takes time. I bought basically every organic chicken I could find, and I just really like roast chicken, but I wanted to make a really good roast chicken. So what I concluded is, number one, it's probably any organic chicken is fine. What I learned about chickens is that organic chicken actually it's more than just the feed. It also has to do, there are like different levels up to step 5, I think. So there was a certain amount of like pasture, like releasing from cages or whatever. Pasture-raised chickens, you can get them from Mary's Organic, at least in the States, and I'm sure in other countries you may have them anyway in the chickens that you buy. But in the US, it's all, we have so much overproduction that we have some really bad conventional chickens. Get an organic chicken, take it out, put it in the refrigerator, unwrapped, just sitting on like a broiler pan so there's air circulation, and let it sit for 3 days. I like it for 3 days. So it's not aging per se, it's just drying out. It's not going bad. It's not covered with salmonella, as some people have suggested. Well, let's say if it was, it still is. And then but before you put it in, salt it all over. No need to wash it. Just salt it everywhere with like a large crystal kosher type salt, kind of like snow, in and out. Let it sit for 3 days so it dries out, and you'll see it change. And then the recipe I've been using is, then I just simply take it out, cover with pepper. You can use ground up fennel seed is great, red pepper flakes, marjoram, and thyme, and just rub. And the thing is, because it's so dry, you won't be able to really stick it on there, but I think that's okay. I don't put any oil on the skin. The chicken should be about 4 pounds, because anything bigger doesn't cook properly. Heat your oven to 450 or conventional 425. Put it flat on a cast iron pan, just down to the bottom. And this is not, I think that's the French laundry recipe. And it'll roast for about 50 minutes, and it's basically done. So, and it makes this great chicken. So that's my answer there. And that's what I've been doing, and I'll be making another one, I'm sure, in a couple of days. I also got heavily into coffee roasting. My favorite coffee to roast was probably Ethiopian Sidamo coffee, and it roasted in a stovetop crank popcorn popper. It takes about 10 minutes. You want it to take like 10 to 12 minutes total. Turn the heat up high and watch it like a hawk. I wash the coffee first, because that's what the Ethiopians do, and I figure they've been roasting coffee successfully simply for many, many years. So follow their method. Wash it. You just, you don't put it in wet. It's just damp. Put it in the coffee thing. Stir it to dry, because you don't want to steam. And you just keep stirring that thing. Don't stop stirring, and watch it until it gets to be the color that you want. And then you kind of want to watch the coffee curve so it heats quickly, and then you start to control it, and it heads down. So anyway, that's you'll make great coffee. And then when you finish, spray some cold water in there, dump it out, and then you cool it off with a like in a colander. I think I found the best colander for that. And okay, that I'm just blabbing away, but that's because I don't know what to say. So okay, let's talk about the No Starch Foundation. I think Louis, maybe you sent that in before I was talking about that. But the foundation we have somewhere over $1 million in funding right now that needs to be given out. We'll probably do another round of funding. I would say probably start looking in October. I'm sorry. Right now, we're just kind of going back to the people who got grants, and we'll be a bit more organized, I think, this year getting funding. And we need to request granting too. But the foundation is not where I'd like it to be. What I've learned is that it's actually hard to give money away. So you have to get people to submit grants, and it's work. So we try to make it easy. And I think that the GitHub micro-granting platform will make it a lot easier. Best bourbon tastings ever. Thank you. I think the thing about the bourbon tastings is I have a range of bourbon. I have so much bourbon. I probably have 600 bottles now or more. I don't know. It's everywhere. And I don't actually drink a lot of bourbon. I do actually have a bottle to show you all. This is kind of an interesting bottle. This is Pendennis Club. This is a like exclusive club in Louisville, Kentucky. My printer sent this to me, and the distillers belong to this club. So this is you can't smell it, of course, but anyway, I was going to pour some. It's a really nice whiskey. I don't know where it comes from. I actually bought the high proof version too, and it's you can only get it from the Pendennis Club. So of course I bought 3 bottles. And it says Bill Pollock, and it's actually spelled correctly. But so this comes from this distillery club, and I'm going to guess it has a checkered history. If you look them up, it does, but I don't know what they're like now. So that was one interesting one. Could we release T-shirt series with graphics from book covers? I like that idea, and we've talked about that. The biggest challenge I've had in the last 2-3 years has been keeping staff. Frankly, we had a lot of turnover. Now I think we've got a really good group, and we can look at doing things like that. And I think we should look at that. What I want to make sure is we can actually sell it. We have some amazing artwork. Some of it is done by Josh Ellingson, who's a fantastic artist. I think we could do something really cool with that. It's all kind of secondary stuff. We've got to make sure that the books are on track, that our authors are supported, that books are moving forward well. But yes, I would like to do something like that. I don't know how they'll print on T-shirts. We have to make sure that they'll print fine. But if we can print this, we can print the, covers some certain, and a couple of my marketing people I know are tracking this, so maybe they'll keep that in mind. But that would be cool. I think certain covers would be really especially good. So yeah, I mean, it would be fun to do more of this stuff. It's more just like, I'm very particular, so I want to make sure that the printing is just right. I like screen shirts. I'm very particular about the shirt itself. I'm very controlling. You know, I don't deny that at all. I want to make sure that everything we do is high quality. The problem of being controlling is that things don't always move the way that they could, but I'm fine with the pace. I'm not in a rush. I just want to make sure that when we do something, it's great. So yeah, we should look at doing that for sure, I think. So I don't know how, it's all kind of weird, isn't it? Like this, the DefCon in your living room, or actually my dining room. But I don't mind actually taking, I mean, I've been going to DefCon for so long, I don't mind sort of taking the year off, I guess. Although DefCon's so energizing. I mean, there are more times than I can count. I was up to see the sunrise. And then I got up the next day and started drinking at 11 a.m. I used to go around the vendors. I had, when we were allowed to pour whiskey, I remember pouring this, I think I had a big bottle of Old Forester, which was probably a 1.5 liter bottle. And I poured it for all the vendors. That was fun. And the parties were fun. And we'll be doing it again. But I just can't, you can't do that in the Caesar venues. They don't want you doing stuff like that. We have to be more careful. But I used to have a bar basically under the table. If you watch the DefCon documentary, you'll see I pulled out of this box just full of bottles of whiskey. And we used to set them up. Nicole may remember some of that, I don't know. Like I'd have a little bar at the end of the table with a bunch of bottles, and I am very controlling. So just like the soup Nazi, I'm the bourbon Nazi. And some people say they like it when they watch me in behind the bar and they basically yell at someone because they break the rules. I don't feel good about it, but sometimes it's deserved. But anyway, it is fun. Okay, so yeah, we can look at making t-shirts. What else can I talk about? What else are we doing that's interesting? I don't know. Just trying to keep things on track, make sure that the books come out and that they're good, and not lose sight of the things that have made us successful over the years. And I don't, as long as I'm in the company, I don't intend to lose track. I have no desire to sell the business. I don't have the desire to make it bigger just for the sake of big. But I am signing more aggressively because of a lot of cool books. We missed entirely the machine learning wave, the deep learning, data science. We just released our first book on machine learning. We missed it entirely for years. That's changing. And now my goal is to go into these markets and take them over because with better product, not because it's like a hostile takeover, but offering something better for readers. I want people to understand stuff. There is not likely to ever be a Hacking the Art of Exploitation Volume 3. Oh, I'm sorry, version 3. Like John does not want to revise that book. He's not sure what he would put in there. If I could ever match John up with someone who he felt would care for his baby, if books are very personal, then maybe John would be open to it. But John and I are old friends, dating back to the days of Rubicon. I think I met John in the late 90s. But John won't do it because John doesn't know necessarily what would go in there. So I think you would sooner see another book that's about, if we can find it, something that's like Hacking the Art of Exploitation, but something new and different. I don't think John, I mean, maybe he'll wake up one day and say, I have an idea, but my understanding from John is it's just not in the cards, unfortunately. So like we're trying to get a revision of Practical Malware Analysis. That's a big book for those guys. Sikorsky runs major part of the practice, I think, at FireEye. So I know he wants to do it. It's just a matter of getting him to do it. I'm hoping that we'll be doing something new with Dave Kennedy and some more penetration testing stuff. But for example, we're not likely to revise the Metasploit book. That market's kind of changed. The kind of tools that people use apparently are changing. So some things were just like the TCP/IP guide will never be revised unless someone picks it up and takes it over. He just won't do it. Linux Programming Interface, a big tome, he might revise. He's talked about it before. But I don't like to add people to books because I think it can wreck them. So if the authors don't revise, we just watch it go. And that's, it was one book and done. Now, Randy Hyde, if any of you are fans of Art of Assembly Language or Write Great Code, Randy is bringing out the books. So Randy just finished Write Great Code Volume 3. We also just released a book that I'm very excited about, Effective C by Robert Secord. one of the like core people in C programming language. That looks pretty interesting. People really seem excited about that. We're about to release the Ghidra book. We had a lot of initial interest in that book. I think that'll be a real popular title. We got some really cool books again in the works. So I think I hope you'll like some of the things that we're doing. One thing that is actually very important and fun to me is to basically do what I can to sort of, I'm not using the word disrupt, I'm using like upend the textbook business. These books are way too expensive, $200, $250. So we're working with the Dive into Systems people to bring out a book that will price at like $75 that can be used in 3 courses. That'll be great. And I want more things like that. So we have I Like Turkey has joined. That's secretly Josh. So thank you for joining. There's 2 people from Vulcan Robotics, team 8375, was it? So what about turkey? I don't know much about turkey. I can make a very good turkey soup though. That takes about 2 days. I can also roast a pretty good turkey, but I don't have that down to a science the way I have my chicken roasting. Turkeys are a lot bigger and too big for one person. So, what do I do now? Use code UNDEFCON. Oh yeah, so we're offering a 35% discount. You have to pay for shipping, but I think we've been able to reduce some of our shipping costs. So there's that. We've already had a pretty good response to that, so that's great. And one thing I am really happy about is having gone to, buy the book and get all the ebooks free. We still maintain that. We host them, and that's where I feel like for those who feel like they're not happy with the shipping costs, we try to give something additional. So that's the whole package. You get the whole package. Once we get our act together, I think we can look at maybe pushing out more frequent updates to the ebooks. It's just not been a priority for the company. So I just hired, I think I may have said this, 4 people. We just added basically 3 people to our marketing group. One is going to help on the sales side. And we brought on 1 editor recently, and then 1 more in production to make sure that people are able to do work and successfully and well without feeling overburdened or like they're rushed. So anyway. What's this? I am through now. Oh, so there's some messages going across the screen. Does that look big? Maybe we'll stop those messages. Anyway, oh, looks like maybe they got stopped. Sorry. Okay. Let's see what else. Anyway, you can go to the site and see we have this DefCon sale. So wouldn't mind a shout out for this, huh? Givebutter.com. What is this? I don't know what that is. I have to look it up. Give butter. Oh, look at that. I had no idea. Well, look at that. So POC GTFO fundraiser for masks for docs. I didn't know anything about this. So I guess I need to find out what this is. So someone on the, I don't think I can actually message anything here. Let's take a look. Guys, I don't know who's watching. Maybe Hope is watching. If you could tweet that thing. So this is, take a look at this promo that's the fundraiser that's going on. You'll see it in the current comment. That would be nice, actually. That's the kind of thing to just, if we can message that. I don't know how to do it. Can I do it? I don't know if I can. Can I put in comments? I don't know. Well, there's probably a way. There. See, people are listening. So this is a promo that this is the first I heard of it. So it says it's POC GTFO fundraiser for masks for docs. Oh, for physicians, I guess. So it looks like they've, so I should make a donation to this. Look at that. So they've raised $3,600. We'll give them, I'm not going to do it while I'm online because I'll probably end up sharing some financial information, but that looks like a worthwhile endeavor. So you can see it in the little screen here, and we should probably, we'll tweet it or retweet it, I'm sure. So anyway. Any questions? No. So keep talking. Talk about I just talk about the same things all the time anyway. My old Volvo, I took it for a ride to San Francisco. It's a 66 Volvo 544. It smells, I get a lot of exhaust fumes. I don't know if there's a leak in the, there might be a leak in the exhaust pipe. I went to San Francisco. I pulled up in front of the building. I was there for maybe 30 seconds, and the guy walks up to me. He's like, "Nice Volvo. What year is it?" I said, "It's a 66, designed in 1948. The next question was, "Do you want to buy some weed?" I wasn't even there for 1 minute. Like, that's San Francisco today. There is no oversight. Anyone does, of course, pot's legal now, but it doesn't matter. But that's the nature of San Francisco right now, and you have to wonder what the city's going to look like over the next year. I expect San Francisco will come back, because when you look at it objectively, it's a pretty cool place to be, but it's not fun to be in San Francisco now. I'm pretty happy just in my house. So I just kind of stay home and eat, whatever I have in the freezer and the cupboard, and drink whiskey and watch Netflix like everyone else. So well, I did just start watching, I got an HBO subscription, so I'm checking out Succession. I love Last Kingdom. I like swordplay. It's fun. I used to fence, but we never actually stuck things to anyone, or at least not intentionally. And then I was watching Space Force for a while, which was fun for a while, and then kind of a little slow and boring, but entertaining. So blah, blah, blah. Did everyone leave? Hello? Josh, do you have any questions? Turkey soup? Lewis? I have no idea who's actually, if there's anyone in the channel. Am I just talking to no one? What does this button do? 32 viewers. Oh, okay. I don't know what they want to hear. What did I talk? I did a long interview when I was at Chaos Congress. Chaos Congress is definitely one of my favorite shows. That's gotten a lot bigger over the years. And that's one too, where when I went, and my son Josh and I went years ago when it was in Berlin. It was great. It was so crowded that basically Josh would go to sessions and I wouldn't see him, and it's like I couldn't find him. It was so packed, and he disappeared for 45 minutes, and then find out he was in a talk. Josh is probably one of the few people who actually will go to all the talks at shows, and because he loves to learn, which is something I really admire in him. So anyway, I hope that's something that I've shared as he's grown up. But I have an awful lot of admiration for my son. Here's a question. With the COVID shutdown going on 5 months, have more authors reached out with pitches for the books they finally got around to writing? I don't have an objective measure of that. I do feel like we're getting a lot of people interested in writing. One danger with that is that you get people who they're eager to write now, but they won't necessarily want to write when things change. So, or they're desperate for money, which I understand. So we have to be kind of careful. But for the most part, I feel like what's happened with the company is people are coming to us because, we have the best-selling tech book in the world, Python Crash Course. After it's either number one or it's number two after the Coding Interviews book, and people see how good our books are. And I should say, with Python Crash Course, when we released that, I spoke with our editor Liz, who did most of the work. Goodbye, Lewis. When I spoke with the people who did most of the work on the book, we said, "What do you think?" It's like, it's pretty good. It's clear. it took over the entire Python book market. So did Automate the Boring Stuff with Python. So did Python for Kids, for that matter. So I think people are coming to us because they realize how much we care about making good books, and people care about making sure that their books are taken care of. We also have the best distributor in the world, Penguin Random House. So we're selling a ton. 3PL, what's that? I don't know what 3PL is. Oh, I guess that's probably our distributor. Yeah, anyway, I'll respond to that in a second. So I think that's why people are coming to us. We will take care to make sure that books are great and give people the time to make them great, and then make sure that they're in channels as strongly as possible. If coronavirus hadn't happened, I expect we would already have been up significantly this year, but the market has turned upside down. In terms of, I guess this is the fulfillment place in Michigan. That was not planned. We basically, what happened was I wouldn't have people go back in the office, and we had to figure out a way to actually ship stuff. So we signed up with PSSC in Michigan to handle our shipping and had to get them inventory. And that took a while to get set up. We stopped shipping for about 2 months, I think. So that's actually been working really well, I think. So I intend to continue that either with them or with another fulfillment house. But I think it seems to be working pretty well. So I don't know, I have to look up what 3PL is. Sorry, let me look that up. 3PL. 3PL. Oh, third-party logistics. Okay. Yes, that's what we did there. Our new no starch overlords. I mean, I hope that people will follow the model that we set, which is raise the bar for tech books everywhere. It would be to everyone's benefit if publishers would give people more time to write and promote and sell the books more effectively. Then people going to stores would expect something good and not assume that it's bad. I think the general decline of the quality of technical books has certainly helped my list, my company, but I think I would rather have, more better books on the market. I think they'll be better for everyone overall. But who asked me? No one. But it's my channel. I say whatever I want. So okay. All right. I think we have just a couple more minutes before we get shut off, I guess. Is there anyone else? I don't know what pound no mixers is, Aaron. Does that mean no mixers in the whiskey? Or does that mean like no one mixing? Maybe it's nom-ixers. It's something to do with food. Nom. Ixers would be indexers, so maybe it means food indexers. But I don't think it does. All right, so I'll drink that. It's just coffee made by Hario V60 brewer, although I think I like the Kalita brewer maybe a little bit better. And I do like putting salt in my coffee when I brew it now, especially for the Ethiopian. It seems to be pretty good. I also like AeroPress, but I haven't used that for a while. I think the Kalita is a nice coffee making device. It's simple. Oh, if I don't fill the empty space, I don't know what to say. Blah blah blah. What's your favorite webcam? I got my Logitech. Now it's all fakes. I don't know. Here's another question. Oh no, that's Jennifer's question again. So I'm running out of things to say. So I don't know if this is an effective chat or not, but I'm just making shit up as I go along. Well, soon I'll be free. Okay, anyone else? Now's your chance. I'm happy to speak on any random topic until I get cut off. I think we're wrapping up. Almost done. I don't know. Coronavirus is weird. The whole world is weird. The main thing I say is just like, you got to just take it one day at a time. We'll get out of this mess. Just get through it. That's all. Can't dwell on it because there's nothing you can do. Just stay safe. So to all of you, stay safe, exercise at home, listen to some music, take time to relax, learn something, and we'll get through it. And I like a book on computer fraud analysis. That could be interesting. The challenge would be finding the right person to do it. So I don't know when. I think we're done. Are we off? I think maybe we're done.